Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, Injury Edition. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Fat. I'm doing fat.
You're doing fat.
I blame
Amazing.
the stuffing.
Yeah.
I blame the stuffing and abundance of pies.
Nice.
Oh, dude, the word gobble gobble is just so, it just fits so perfectly for Thanksgiving.
It really does.
I love it so much. It truly is the greatest holiday weekend of all time. It really is. It's just sports, food, friends, family, booze.
One of these things is not like the other.
Yeah. So
Booze.
Hope everybody else had a good Thanksgiving. Hope everybody else gained a couple pounds. I know I did. My wife told me this morning as she walked out the door, she's like, I got to reset. Like,
Yeah.
my body is different.
I said the same thing to my wife last night. I was like, you know what? Tomorrow, I think I'm just going to do elliptical. Just elliptical.
I was like, well, today's Monday. Today's the day I'm supposed to start working out. And I'm like, man, we got like almost 3 feet of snow. I don't know if I'm going to do it. Like, we're way behind on the Christmas tree. So like, I'm going to set up the Christmas tree while the wife's gone and kind of surprise her when she walks in and it'll be set up.
Nice.
Either she'll like that I did that or she'll be upset that we didn't do it together. One of the two. Either way, it's still getting done. Still takes me a while. For some reason, I like fluffing my tree. I don't know why.
It's an art form.
But
that's why, Rich. And you're an artist.
I think so. And it comes out so great. I take my time. It looks so good.
Mm-hmm.
I get so proud. It's like nobody knows, but I just love doing it. I'm so proud of it. I'm like, look at this tree. So it's fluffed so well. I was like, I told my wife, I think one year we were drinking wine, dude, and I was like, I just put an ad on Christmas as a side hustle, just fluff people's trees. Go out and set people's trees up. I'll get the wrong phone call. Somebody's gonna be standing there in a tree costume. Fluff away, sir.
Yep. That could go really bad, man. Really, really bad.
How well do you tip? So anyways, outside of stuffing, there's some boo-boos. You know, long weekend. We have football on Thursday, Friday, Sunday. The football's coming out tonight. But
you forgot about Friday, my man. You forgot Friday. There was
Thursday,
Friday football.
Friday, Sunday. Yeah.
Oh, you said that?
I thought I did.
I don't know, man. I'm a little slow. It's been a long weekend.
Yeah, I feel like my IQ dropped as well. My weight went up and my IQ went down. Here I am.
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Just staring at a screen. I don't know what these letters mean.
If Thanksgiving was every weekend, it'd be like Idiocracy in here. We'd just be fat and dumb.
I know, but if you didn't have to leave and go see anybody, like, who cares at that point?
Yeah.
Nobody knows what I look like. I started doing these podcasts remote from the neck down. Like, your cheeks look thicker. It's like, I got stung by a bee, bitch. Every week, I raise bees.
I'm really allergic. It's going to take a long time for this to get through my system.
They said to smoke the bees, then it got too high. Anyways.
Yep.
Injuries.
Let's get this started.
Let's jump into the dirtiest thing to go down all weekend. Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. We'll start at the quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence went down with a concussion. Obviously, Mac Jones is the backup there and came in and actually looked okay. But I actually didn't see the play, but I heard about it. It sounds like you saw it.
Yeah, dirty. And that dude that dude's been dirty all year long. He did something like week 1. He did something else beforehand. And like, that was honestly like one of the dirtiest plays. Like, I've seen like things that are super dirty when guys are in the bottom of the pile, like twisting people's like legs and shit. And that's like, dude, that's as dirty as it gets. But yeah, Trevor Lawrence was clearly going to slide and like he launched himself, like put his elbow out into Lawrence's head, drove him into the back of the turf. I mean, he immediately went stiff, when they do that. I can't remember what it's called, but when they get like,
it's like the fencing, something or
fencing. Yes, with your EP. It was pretty dirty. I think that dude should be banned for the rest of the year. Like, I really do. There's no room for that in the NFL. Same thing. Like, I feel like if you get caught like trying to twist somebody's leg and break their leg, like you should get kicked out for the rest of the year. Like, there should be no room for that. This is people's like livelihoods. This is people's chance to be great, to be immortalized in the Hall of Fame. You know, like I think about it all the time, like Nick Chubb was like injury back in Pittsburgh. Like, damn, like Nick Chubb was kind of on a Hall of Fame career path there. And that injury probably completely derailed that, you know, like, yeah, these guys make a lot of money. Trevor Lawrence is set for life, but not everybody's that way, you know, not everybody's that way. And it's not even like they're out of the game. Like that could lead to like lifelong pain and suffering, you know, like that could affect somebody's life for the rest of their lives. I mean, look at what happened to, Shazier from Pittsburgh, you know, guy gets hit. Now that wasn't dirty. It was just an accident, but like stuff like that could affect somebody for a long time. So I thought it was a really dirty play. I think that dude should be kicked out of the league for the rest of the year at the very least. And like with a threat, like, dude, if you ever do this again, you just can't play here. You know, like if you have a kid going to daycare and it keeps spitting on the other kids and you tell the parent like, hey, this dude can't spit on people. This is assault. And like, if you do it again, you know, you can't come back. They're going to tell you can't come back to daycare. Like, get that spitter out of there. So sucks for Trevor Lawrence. Guy always bounces back quicker than everybody else. So, but it looks like he's going to miss a week.
Yeah, I mean, this sucks because he obviously just came back from non-throwing shoulder injury where he missed a couple weeks, and then he comes back and doesn't even get to finish the game. So that's the bummer of it. I guess the good part of it is that maybe Mac Jones is starting to settle in a little bit. 20 of 32, 235, and 2 touchdowns. Wasn't enough for them to win the game, but it was at least close against the Houston Texans. They lost 20-3. So, and some of the guys performed well. You know, Evan Ingram, seven receptions, 41 yards. Parker Washington kind of finally showed
Parker,
showed his face here. 6 receptions, 103 yards and a touchdown. Obviously, Brian Thomas had a nice game too. 4 receptions, 76 yards and a touchdown. So Mac Jones is
late in the game.
Yeah, he did, but I mean, it's better late than never.
Yeah,
and so yeah, I mean, at least Mac Jones is a capable backup at times. There's other times where he just looks like crap, but heading into the playoffs, you can at least feel okay about starting those guys, I think, if you have been.
Yeah, I mean, it feels to show that he was able to connect with all those guys that you mentioned and kind of still let you put Brian Thomas in your lineup, still have faith in Evan Ingram, and kind of like, a little emergence there from Parker Washington, who kind of flashed a little bit last year. So just something to take note of. Trevor Lawrence did say he was fine. He tweeted out that he was conscious, like in the cart when he went out. He was sitting up in the cart going out. So we would probably expect him to miss a week. But at the same time with Trevor Lawrence, I really don't ever, like, he's the one guy, like he always just like comes back earlier than he's supposed to come back. So yeah, Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, as we head into what's going to be the final 2 weeks of the season. Yeah, the final 2 weeks, 13, 14.
Oh, 14.
Wait, this was week 13.
This was 13. Yeah, this is it coming up right now.
I told you I was stupider. Yeah, one more week. Dude, we have one more week. This is the final week to get all your trades in and make that rush. And what sucks is, like, I feel so bad for my son with all these buys week 14, like people trying to make their final push. In the Scott Fish Bowl, he's in the playoffs. He's advanced both weeks. Like, he has a pretty decent team, but his entire team he has Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. He's got somebody else too that's on another team buying. I was like, bud, I got some bad news. He's like, why? I was like, you're going to lose in the Scott Fish Bowl. He's like, why? I was like, it's week 14. I was like, I never thought about that. I was like, next year we got to pay attention to that. Like, who has these late buys and kind of avoid them.
Or not triple down on them. You know what I mean?
Or not triple down on the most important positions that you have, which is a tight end, quarterback, and running back. So, it's some team, like, that's kind of sucks, you know, like when you're like, I'm in a must-win situation, and you're like, my best players are on the bench. Like, if you're in a do-or-die game and you have Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, you're like, this ain't good.
No, that is
wait, my backup's Trevor Lawrence. It's no. Oh, no. Go trade a sandwich for Mac Jones.
Not in the Scott Fish Bowl. No trades.
No trades.
So, all right, let's move on from Trevor Lawrence and move on to another kind of minor injury because the guy came right back. Baker Mayfield tweaked an ankle. Kyle Trask came in and looked all Kyle Trasky for a couple of plays, and then Baker came
First
back
play of the game.
So it's fine. I don't expect Baker to miss any time, but ankles, who knows? You never know. So just keep an eye on the practice reports. I would expect Baker to play through that, but he might not be as effective. I don't know. We'll see.
My heart dropped when I saw that hit, and he was laying on the ground. I was like, babe, no. Yeah, so many Baker shares.
Right. And it ended up, they showed the replay, and it was a guy, like, basically afterwards kind of tripping and falling and stepping on his ankle, and
Yeah, he got cleated. So it made me feel way better.
Right. So hopefully that's all it is, and he's fine. So no big deal. Not much to see there. They were performing pretty well, and obviously Mike Evans got above whatever threshold he needed to get to, right, to possibly get 1,000 yards. He got 118 yards and a touchdown.
Oh, they're going to make sure.
I know. Sure. Yeah, they're going to be force feeding him that, and like we kind of expected, Kate Otton's numbers have kind of dropped off. 4 catches, 20 yards.
Yeah, but he was targeted.
Targeted 7 times. He did have some drops I saw and stuff like that. So just not great. Bucky Irving, to the moon.
Dude, looks so good, dude. You need to move him up your dynasty ranks significantly, dude.
Yeah, he's looking pretty sweet.
Yeah, you need to take a look at that. Get in there. I moved him up. I feel like I don't have him high enough. Like here, like
he's electric.
Like I mean, dude, honestly, like Bucky Irvin or Jonathan Taylor, who would you rather have?
I mean, Bucky Irvin right now is way hotter and looking good.
3 years younger.
Yeah, 3 years younger. I mean,
dude, he looks so good out there.
He does really, and he picked up a hip injury. I know we're not going to talk about him because I didn't put him on here, but let's transition into the running backs, and we'll just start talking Bucky. He missed a little bit of time on a kick return, and then obviously was able to return and had a sweet game. So Bucky Irving, not much to see there, but
I had to trade away this past weekend. I was devastated to do with the Tyler Gunther. I traded away Pat Mahomes and Bucky Irvin and Daniel Jones, and I got back Drake May and 2 first-round picks, probably later first-round picks.
Okay,
but my team's not ready to compete yet, so.
And that's when you move on from running backs. Yeah, if you're not ready to compete, like.
I got 2 more shares. It's okay.
Especially with, the running back class that's coming in, that's supposed to be pretty deep. So it seems like
he looks so. I mean, Bucky just looks every time he gets the ball, man. He just looks so proficient, so electric. Like
the only thing he's missing is the long speed. Like he broke a run and got run down. You know what I mean? That's the one thing that he doesn't have. But he's able to make people miss in the hole, which is really, obviously something that they're missing there, because the other guys just kind of, especially Rashod White. I feel like he's just whatever's there, he's going to get. He's not going to make anyone miss and create on his own. So Bucky Irving,
he's no James Cook, that's for sure.
No kidding, man.
You see that run last night? Did you watch a game last night?
I did watch a game last night.
That too. When James Cook got to the edge, dude. Oh my God, he was just flying.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it until they put in Mitch Trubisky, and then I was like, all right, this isn't worth watching anymore. See you guys.
Sorry, men are native.
Sorry, Mitch, but I mean, it is what it is. Like, if they're putting backups in and it's this big snow game, like this is not going to go great. So I didn't watch it.
Sure enough. So, Bucky is great. Who's not great? Because this is we lost a couple good ones, man, this week. This is and I got a lot of shares. So
So Christian McCaffrey went down. Obviously, this was a non-contact. Dude he took like basically a sweep type of run and just kneeled it. Like he just slid down in the backfield for a loss of 5 yards. So
it was a play before. They showed it. They got hurt on. He went in. He went knee first. I think it was his right knee, if I remember right off my memory. But he went into the ground knee first. So it was a previous play that he hurt himself.
It was the one when he broke like a long run, right?
Yeah, and then he went up in air and came down on his knee on that frozen tundra. And like you said, he came back in next play, just put himself down. It's like immediately like that is the worst case. Like something's really bad.
Right. When somebody doesn't even hit you, you're just like running. You're like, nope, that ain't right. Something's not right in my knee. So PCL injury is what the early prognosis is. Obviously, there's going to be MRIs and all that kind of stuff, but it's believed to be season ending for Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, Jordan Mason, the direct backup, we've seen plenty of him to know exactly what we're going to get. Isaac Guerrero will also get probably more carries as well down the stretch here. But just a beat up team, man. Hard to not feel bad for these guys. Like I feel like every time they get a piece back, somebody else is going down, and it's just kind of this revolving door of injuries. So it's really just not working out for the 49ers this year. And from a fantasy standpoint, I mean, this is the time, if you've had Jordan Mason, you've been sitting on him all year, and for whatever reason you're you've fallen out of contention. This is the time perfect time to get rid of him, trade him 100%. to a contender. They'll be happy to have him for this playoff run.
Yeah, second round pick, easy. That's like an easy grab, like a second round pick there. Honestly, you could probably get at least a second and a third.
You might. I
for
mean,
a guy like
two
Jordan Mason.
seconds is not out of the question for a guy like Jordan Mason at this
I
point.
agree.
So yeah, it'll be a nice little piece right here in this small window to trade away if you're not.
Yeah, a lot of people that moved when McCaffrey went down and they made that move for Jordan Mason like right away. Like they feel a lot better. I know it helps me in a league where I have Jordan Mason, and I kind of went all in that trade I made with Peter in Dynasty Nerds Invitational League where like I made that Jaden Daniels trade live on our show. I have Jordan Mason, so that's a huge bonus to me because I was down and running back there as well. So really sucks. But at the same time, like you've been without Christian McCaffrey pretty much the whole year. You got what, like
Correct.
3 games out of him for the year. It's just one of those down years, and he's gonna be 29 years old. So it's kind of like things like this don't miraculously get better. You might be able to get another year or 2 years of pass catcher running back. And listen, honestly, too, at the same time, Matt, like we've seen some of these running backs like every year, like the quarterback's been playing a little bit longer. The receivers still can't get past that 31-year mark. Like once they hit 31, like it's just wash city. Like nobody gets past it. Like even Tyreek Hill's down. But like we're seeing guys like James Conner come out and still excel, and he just got a contract extension. Derrick Henry still looks just as good as ever. He's 30 years old. So kind of gives you some optimism when you make these moves for these guys that are entering that 27-year season. Like giving up, like again, going back to like Joe Mixon trades like that, like giving up a first for guys like that, like makes you believe like, hey, yeah, Joe Mixon looks fantastic in Houston. And your biggest concern in Dynasty is like, well, he's 28. You're like, well, shit, dude, I might get 2 more years. I might get Joe Mixon to 30 out of this. Like he's still got his burst and speed. He looks as good as ever. Like that it's such a long window that we're looking at. Kamara signed his extension here. So some of these guys can play a little bit longer. So do you look at this as buy low window? I mean, you probably get McCaffrey for pretty cheap right now. Like, let's face it. Like, there's a lot of concern here. Are you throwing 2 seconds at the McCaffrey owner just to see if you're like
in the right in the right scenario? Yeah, I mean, right now it's really difficult to make that move if you need running backs, like because you're not getting them this year at all.
Yeah.
So it is like,
but who cares about that? Like
no,
you're thinking long term here.
It's got to be a long term play, and you have to not have a need. You know what I mean? Like you have to have. It might be like an icing on the cake for next year type of move. It has to be.
Yeah. No, it's 100% a next year move, but like, hey, I can get like, say you're like on the cusp of like you're a middle of the road team and you just missed the playoffs. You really need a kind of running back. Like this is a strong running back class. Like you throw 2 seconds, somebody looks at you to the middle of the road team, like you have picked 1-5 or 1-6. Like, oh wow, I'm gonna get 2-5, 2-6 in deep class, and I'm gonna get your other second in 2026. Like, yeah, I'll give you Chris McCaffrey. Get this guy off my roster. Can't stay healthy. Now you get your 1-5, you get a good running back, and you add McCaffrey to other running back in the mix. Like now you're set up. If he bounces back, you're literally like McCaffrey's like a championship caliber player when healthy.
Absolutely.
So like he immediately propels you. So like those are the kind of moves that you want to make and be a little bit like get ahead of the curve. And then worst case, you fall out of it. If he gets back to health whatsoever, you could flip him for a first at any time next year if he's producing McCaffrey levels, even like 2/3 of that, where he's putting up 20 points per game instead of 28 points per game. You're going to get a first back. So you can just turn your 2 seconds into a first, and you can move that out to just like say, oh, I really want that 27 class. Like I really want to get in that class. Like, hey, I'll give you McCaffrey. Give me your 27 first, and you get back into an extra pick. So I think unless he's out for a long time, I'm in on trying to like go out and get McCaffrey off teams. Definitely, if somebody like was a contender and they need a little help, and you can offer like an older running back that's like not too great, like a Rashod White, or like a younger back that's not great. Like, hey, I'll give you Rashod White for Christian McCaffrey, or anybody that you don't overly feel confident about long term, or may even still live in that same window. I think these are the kind of buy windows that you want. Definitely this type of like late in the season where you go get guys for not like draft picks or another player you just want to get off your roster because you're out of it.
No doubt about it. So that was like the scenario that you painted was like the perfect picture of what I was thinking of. So that would be the scenario where I would go ahead and make that move for Christian. All right, so that was it for the running backs. There was only just one.
No, J.K. Dobbins.
Oh well, that kind of happened last week. So I forgot about that. Dobbins and Austin Ekeler both went on IR on the same day at 11:30. So JK's got the knee. Eckler's got a concussion. We kind of knew about
it. Just happened after the fact. So and we said Eckler concussion was bad. They said it was real bad, so it was going to miss a while. And the JK Dobbins nudes, like obviously we knew his knee was hurt, like, but we didn't know how bad. But they put him on IR, means he can't even come back to your roster until your championship game.
Right. So obviously Gus is the man there. Vidal came in and had a little bit of carries, a little bit of work. Was it 4 or 5 carries or something like that for not a lot of output?
It's that situation. They got to, I don't know what they're going to do. They got to figure something out because Gus didn't look that great. Vidal didn't look that great. We'll see what happens, but interesting. Both cheap ads. I mean, if you just need somebody to fill a roster, I mean, Gus Edwards isn't going to cost you much. Right.
Yeah. Agreed. Yep.
It's somebody you get on there. If you want to take a chance on Vidal, again, another gamble. Somebody's gonna get the carries in this offense. Good news is Justin Herbert's probably gonna throw the football more. You say that he just came out and had his worst game all year throwing the football. He had like 100 something yards, like 170 yards.
Everyone's gonna have a down week here and there. As far as the Austin Ekeler stuff, Chris Rodriguez came in. Obviously, Brian Robinson had a nice game, but Chris Rodriguez had 94 yards and a touchdown as well. So came in and was viable as a backup running back and really kind of showed some nice stuff.
We sat here and talked Jeremy McNichols for 4 minutes, and it was just a moot point.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, well. All right, so moving on to the wide receiver position. Start with one that's pretty low-key. CeeDee Lamb in that Thursday game, the Thanksgiving game, tweaked his shoulder. It was a re-aggravation of his shoulder issue that he's had for a while. The problem is, I mean, he didn't miss a bunch of time or anything like that. The problem is he was dropping passes and not really looking great. And I think the shoulder is probably what's affecting that. Kind of harder to raise your arms and kind of have strength, in what you're doing when your arms are away from your body when you have shoulder issues like that. So, Brandon Cooks will get a bump, I would imagine. Jonathan Mingo. Turpin, Kavontae Turpin has looked kind of good as well. Not that he's gotten a lot of run, but when he touches the ball, he's electric. So, I don't know. CeeDee Lamb, I have on a team that I need him to do well, and I'm kind of nervous about this shoulder injury just kind of hampering him throughout the rest of the season. And at what point do you just go, you know what? I'm too dinged up. This season's lost. Let's just wrap this thing up and kind of wrap it up for the season and go on IR. So that's what I'm worried about happening with CeeDee Lamb. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's kind of like we don't really know enough right now, and the team is just
so bad,
terrible. Dottle looked good this past week. His best game. He looked pretty good.
He absolutely did. Yeah, 112 yards and a touchdown. Obviously Dallas won, which is good for them, but they're playing the Giants, so it was the backup quarterback bowl. I think game was like a little hard to watch at times. Moving on to the Ravens here, Rashod Bateman went out with a knee injury and did not return. We don't know the extent of this. Tylan Wallace, Devontae Walker are guys that are listed behind him if he were to miss time. I would think Wallace is kind of the guy that would be the next man up to kind of fill that role that Rashod Bateman's been filling. But not a lot to see here. I mean, Bateman's okay. He's been an up and down kind of wide receiver 3 at times type of guy this year. So not much to really report there. I'm not really touching either one of those guys. If Bateman, I'm not starting Bateman, and I'm definitely not starting Bateman's backups. So.
And they got a bye week this week, so they got a ways to go. Right. And Bateman's such an incident. Like nobody's starting Bateman on a contending team. So
right. So Ladd McConkey is the next guy up. He had a knee injury. He was able to play through it and come back. I just wanted to mention it. He's been battling a shoulder injury for most of the season. Now he's got a knee injury. So just getting dinged up. This Ladd McConkey guy producing, but getting dinged up.
Move him up your dynasty ranks too, buddy. I have no idea where you have him, but he should be higher. I'm sure.
Yeah, stop yelling at me. He's up pretty high.
I got so many shares of Ladd. I mean, dude's just a dog. He ain't going anywhere anytime soon, man. He's giving you exactly what Keen left on the field there in LA with Justin Herbert. He's just and he's only going to get better. There
12 targets, 9 receptions, 117 yards. It'd be nice if he'd start scoring some touchdowns, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it would definitely be nice if he could score some touchdowns.
All right,
so I mean, just players like that ball out. like without scoring, like just they. Again, I did a video. I felt good about it because I did put the video out like I think a week before Ladd like blew up, and I was like, this guy's going to be a wide receiver one. Like I'm telling you, like this is the guy you want to go ahead and get ahead of. And ever since then, he's been good. Like put up wide receiver one numbers, like wide receiver 8 overall, maybe even higher after this week with another monster week. But great signs there that he was able to come back in the game and avoid a major injury with his size. I mean, the guy's got to bulk up a little bit, protect those bones, had a little bit of muscle to him. That was his biggest. So one of his biggest knocks coming out was like, he's a little small for his size, injury prone, and he's still in the game though. He's still out there getting free and scoring those points.
No doubt about it. He can separate, and that's where his magic lies. So moving on to the next guy, Calvin Austin went down with a head injury, being evaluated for concussion. Blah blah blah. It's a concussion. He had a couple of receptions, 29 yards and a touchdown. Calvin Austin's a guy that I've always kind of liked. I don't love the guy, but I root for him. And he's seeming to have a better connection and getting more fantasy production with Russ in there. So this was a bit of a bummer. He took a pretty big hit.
He's eliminated Mike Williams out of that offense completely, even though they've made a trade for him. I mean, Calvin Austin's guy who's really kind of stepped up there. It's been him and Van Jefferson, and Calvin Austin's just looked like the best of the two.
He's just dynamic. He's fast. He can get open deep, and we all know that Russ likes to chuck the ball downfield. So it's a nice little fit. But Scotty Miller's the direct backup there. I wouldn't expect that to be a fantasy relevant type of position. Just like I wouldn't expect Calvin Austin to be. He's very up and down. It's very hard to kind of rely on him. I hope he kind of evens out at some point and kind of becomes a bigger part of this offense, but not when you got a concussion. So we'll move on to Noah Brown with Washington. He went down with a rib injury. De'Ami Brown, Luke McCaffrey are the backups there. Noah Brown hasn't been looking too bad either. He's a guy that whenever he gets an opportunity seems to produce. So a bit of a bummer there for him. But De'Ami Brown, had 5 targets, 4 receptions, 35 yards in this past week, and Luke McCaffrey had a couple of targets, 2 catches, 13 yards. But obviously, Scary Terry was the guy that went berserk in this one, 8 receptions, 73 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Really kind of propelling some teams late into the season, which is really nice to see. And Jaden Daniels also had a nice game. 203 yards and 3 tuts, and another 34 yards and a rushing touchdown. So, guy's a stud.
Yes. Stud.
Stud. So moving on to maybe the tight end position. I don't know how people value this guy, but this is a big one. Taysom Hill has been balling out, and he is done probably likely for the season here with a knee injury. So this has been an up and down season for him too, because he's kind of battled through some injuries, but when he's been in there, he's been going nuts. And unfortunately, he's done for the season. There's no real direct backup because he does so many weird gadgety things.
That you
can't really list. Yeah, you can't really list anyone as his backup. But
Derek Juwan Johnson,
Alvin Kamara is Alvin Kamara.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Right.
Who? Hey, if you're looking for a cheap grab, I mean, MVS has fit in this offense pretty well since he's been here those last 4 games. He's been producing to the point where I need some help this week, and I was looking through my bottom roster of receivers on some leagues, and I elected to go with MVS in some of those. And
you played him against me and won.
Yeah,
damn it!
As a much that victory guaranteed me a playoff spot in the original Dynasty League, so I felt really good about that. And beating you, of course, feels really good. It shows you and Dynasty Mike are the
1 and
2 seed.
Yeah,
so you guys are the teams to beat, and I've been monitoring okay, if I played him this week, could I beat him this week? And I got to beat him this week, and this week I could have beat him this week. So it's I feel good about it after. And I just lost J.K. Dobbins, which kills me because I don't have him for the playoffs. And maybe there's a move to make to get rid of my first. We'll see, but if not, MVS it is. It's between MVS
it is.
Michael Wilson. Here we go, party time. But overall, a bad week for running backs. Maybe CeeDee Lamb. We kind of got through another week here of being okay. I think the J.K. Dobbins one hurts a little bit more. It's probably a player that people have to go trade for a championship player rush. who's been solid, not great, but been a solid running back. Definitely, if he's running back 2, running back 3, somebody who's going to help you win a championship. He's gone now. I said I don't even know if he'll be back for the championship game, like in time. So
yeah,
bad timing is what it is. Go out there and trade for Chris Rodriguez.
right. I mean, that's kind of the move. One of these guys that's real low end and won't cost you a ton.
This is it though. Home stretch, man. Hopefully we can get through these next. We got 4 more games till we crown a champion, and hopefully if your team's making that push, hopefully stay healthy, be smart. Again, don't be afraid to make some of those small moves this time of the year just to help insulate your team. If definitely you have a trade deadline, just to give you a little bit of cushion, because you never know when some doo-doo players are going to forearm your player in the head and knock him out for a week. Just, you don't know. There's some dirty birds out there, coal in their stockings.
Coal in their stockings, indeed. All right, man. I think that wraps it up, right?
Arrivederci.
Adios.